But if we work together, we're working for the kingdom, right? Have to remind everybody this is why we're working together because we want to uplift Christ. We want to, shine the spotlight on Christ. And
Mhm.
we're working for the kingdom. Come on. And so and then being a woman and being an African American woman in this particular space of tech is very unusual. So just trusting God in the relationship building and that no matter what is happening, no matter what is said, I know who put me here. And I
Mhm.
know that what I do is to glorify him and
Mhm.
and to just stay keep my hand in his hand.
Hello, my name is Hugh Plappert, and welcome to Church Tech Careers, where we go into the back office of ministry and learn how to uplift our church members and have an impact on our communities through technology. And today's video is brought to you by PhoneLive.io. If you are an Emmy producer or not, God could use you in church tech and in media. And our guest today has a very interesting history and has taken her high skilled talents and given them to God. Hello, my name is Hugh Plappert, and welcome to Church Tech Careers. Our guest today is Kimberli Meadows, the Director of Communications for the First Baptist Church of North Brentwood, Maryland. Welcome, Kimberly.
Thank you, Hugh. I'm so grateful to be here.
Right. So the audience that we work towards serving in this broadcast is those people with cold feet, maybe struggling with the calling, or have stepped out in faith and said, "Oh no, what I get myself into in church tech." Let's go back and share your story and all the way back to your professional days.
Yeah, okay. I started, Hugh, in television, a broadcast television in Atlanta way back in the day in the 80s. And I was started as a production assistant and was blessed to be able to move from production assistant to community service producer to promotion producer. I even was blessed with the opportunity to write promos for the Oprah Winfrey Show as a freelancer. She would fly me in and out. And so it was just a wonderful, stressful, but I learned so much in production. Production happens fast and you're gonna learn really quickly what works and what doesn't work and how to get along with others. And so that went on for some years. And then I moved to Washington, DC. I worked for the ABC, NBC, and CBS affiliates. But life got a little hectic. That was all fun when I was single. But when I was married and had children, I couldn't keep up that pace. I didn't want to keep up that pace. And so I asked God to show me what was next and use me for his glory. And he directed me to nonprofit agencies and national nonprofit agencies. And I served there and did PR and the television background came into play in those areas. But when our organization downsized and I said, okay, well, Lord, what's next? Which way do I go? God wasn't pushing me to go in the same direction I was going. So I knew something was changing. And I didn't realize he was calling me to preach. I've been running from some things from him for a while. It's like, okay, I'll sing in the choir. Yes, I'll be in the drama ministry. It was finally in 2011 I heard it and I accepted it. And our church happened to have a opening as I think I was Christian education assistant, but that quickly changed. And the pastor that we have now saw and knew of my background and asked me would I lead our media ministry. It wasn't even called media ministry at that time. What we had was a sound team. We had somebody who took videos every now and then, but he asked me to coordinate all of the media. So that's how I became the director of communications. And in those years of television, I was able to be blessed and earn an Emmy for writing, producing, promotion writing, producing. I've won several international awards, and it was a blessing. And I'm just so grateful to see that God could use that. I didn't have to feel that that time of my life was just over, but He really, and over the years, has engaged my contacts. Our church has received promotion and interview opportunities, and I know it was because of the background that God has allowed me to come through. And sometimes, Hugh, I wasn't even trying to get an interview or trying to position our pastor or our events. It would just drop in my lap, and I would say, "Oh no, we're not ready," or "I don't really have anybody." And one time, this one time, I'll be really brief. One time, we were having a children's oratorical contest. And I called a producer friend and said, "Hey, how can I really get, this into the news? What angle would work for the news?" And she said, "You have a child?" I said, "Oh, yeah." She said, "Well, why don't you come in on Saturday?" I said, "No, I'm not really ready yet to come in on Saturday. I just want to know what would be the best way." And that happened about 2 or 3 times in our conversation. And then finally I realized God was saying, "This is it. Take it now." So I said,
Mhm.
"Oh, yes. Okay, I do have one of the contestants, and she'll have her speech ready, and we'll be there." And that interview, just everything just went like clockwork, and that led to other opportunities. So just trusting, I learned to trust God and let go. And whatever I don't know, He will put people in my path. And likewise, He's enabled me to be in a place where I can share my what I've learned, and my faith in Him.
Wow, wow. It's amazing, when you, give it to God and what he does. So, as a communication director, what's your scope or goals of your role there?
So my scope has been really broad. So right now I am blessed to work with, writers, producers, editors, graphic design people, a web team, what I call our SMAC team. That I named them. They're the social media admin core communicators. So those are the people who communicate during our worship services online, whether that's using Facebook or YouTube or on our actual website. So I get to work with a lot of people and to help and photographers to help make sure that our messaging is consistent and timely. It's that plus, so I write, I produce. I've made it my goal to make sure that I understand at least all of the roles so that I can do the bare minimum at least. So our pastor never has to really be without something. I may not be the best at it, but I can turn everything on. I can write it. I can get you ready so we can at least do this, whatever the main piece is, I got you. I always say, "I got you, sir." And I think our goals really are to make sure everybody's cross-trained because we would love to have, a giant team of persons. Ideally, when we really first started forming, the outline that an overview that I drew up had about 12 to 16 people every Sunday. And we started out really well with maybe 60 people really being excited. COVID hit and it became just me and the pastor's wife and our IT person that were really making everything go every week. And when we came back, we didn't come back with the same force of persons. So just trying to make sure as many people as possible are cross trained so that as life happens for any one of us, we can still step in and make sure that, we can execute with excellence the policies and the processes and the procedures that we've put in place. Um, as I'm looking now into a new year, I'm looking to streamline even more what we do and do well. This will be our 120th anniversary. So we've
Mm,
got so many projects lined up. We're producing my team. I call it MCC. I think it's marketing, creative, and communications team. So MCC team, we're working with all of the other teams. So whether that's legacy and history and legacy or special events, we're working with them. So I have to streamline us and realize that we can't do everything. So that my focus right now is to bring it in. Let's see what really matters. What is our priority? And we know Sunday morning is our priority, preaching of the gospel. Our theme is, we're here to capture, produce, and distribute the word as it is preached at First Baptist Church, whether that's through the word that is actually preached, sung, prayed, or danced. We are here to capture and tell a story and to engage the online congregation in that experience. So right now, I'm really just looking to streamline what we do because we've done a little bit of everything for everybody. And I know that you can quickly, when life starts to happen, if you don't have a grip on what really matters, it can go astray. Everything can go astray. I also manage our volunteers. So, recruitment and managing is not always easy in the church setting, right? When
mm,
we say to people, you don't have to have an experience to come. We are open and, we're ready. One of my colleagues and mentors is Pete Guyette. He's head of Kingdom Tech Partners, and we hired them to install all of our systems. And he's really been a friend of our church for a long time. But he used to have this saying that he needs volunteers that are fat. F as in flexible, A as in, I think it was adaptable, available. So flexible, available, and teachable. And I would have to second that. Yeah, if you're flexible, available, and teachable, we can work with it. And I added another F, F-F-A-T, and that was faithful. and not faithful to just us, but faithful to God. I mean, so it really is important that, we pray. And so my scope, yes, as a tech person, is to make sure that we all the different personalities that are needed in a media ministry, because you do have persons who are, well, some more outgoing, or some, really persons who like elaborate things. So they're great for our displays, our on-site displays. Or and then you have those persons who are more introverted, who will work better through the week, quietly by themselves, creating graphics, creating animations, creating videos. And then, you have those persons who need to be out front so they can really sell an event or engage persons. So I just think, if I think I lost my train of thought, but nevertheless, if
The
it
scope of what you do, that you
it's
cover is quite a bit
yeah,
there.
so managing volunteers and all of those personalities, it can be challenging. So just trying to make sure that we all stay anchored in the Lord. So when we meet on Sunday mornings, church starts at 9:45. We meet at 7:30. And we start with devotion. And from devotion, we, go through the rundown, what I call the rundown of, this is the order of worship service. These are the people, so that all of the persons, the audio people, the video people, can all speak up. Hey, well, what microphone are they using? Where are they going to be positioned? And this light is out. And what about that? So just managing that scope. And I had to broaden that scope. So we really work every day of the week. And sometimes we don't stop working until 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday in preparation for Sunday. Because again, it depends on whose life, what's happening in whose ever life. It's like a relay in a way. So Mondays is really sort of my quiet and think day, prep day. Tuesday, and writing. So Tuesday, I'm writing. So we do what we call church announcements. So I call them announcement promos. You may hear us run around saying, well, who's doing the AP this week? Who's recording? So I also coordinate the voiceover talent. I train and coordinate voiceover talent. So we write the APs and all the anything that's happening on the next Sunday on Mondays. We approve it on Tuesday. They're distributed on Tuesday. Wednesday, we're in the process of, we meet on Tuesday. The creative team meets on Tuesday to talk about who's going to create what graphics or whatever is needed. Thursday is when the worship prep team meets. So we have worship prep on Sundays, but let me go back. Worship prep team meets on Thursday. We go over the rundown again. We talk about anything that happened last Sunday that needs more attention, what equipment needs to be purchased, what's working, what's not working, who's the personnel, whatever changes need to happen. Everything starts with a prayer, ends with a prayer with us. Friday, we're still executing. By Saturday, we pretty much, I'm approving of the AP at that point. All the graphics are done. And then again, if somebody's like, oh, my niece is in town, we're going out, we're going sightseeing. It's like, okay, no worry. What time will the AP be ready? So that person then takes the AP, they add the graphics. The next person takes it and adds all the music to make sure that everything is sweetened as it should be. And then they send it back to us in two forms. One that has a countdown attached to it, and that one runs in the sanctuary. And then one that's for the website, which is just the music. So at that point, then I get it and I upload the one on the YouTube channel and go back and make sure that the graphics, from the previous services are all there, and that the announcement promos are up for the week. And so once it's on the you on you on the sorry on YouTube and on our website, these are the announcements I'm talking about. Then we can breathe and get ready for Sunday morning. So it just happens. It's a 7-day a week thing. So just finding those volunteers who are willing to trust God with what they have. We realize everybody has different skills. Everybody has different time availability. Everybody has different capacity. So just understanding persons and asking God to lead and guide me, so that I can help with other people. Because it's not, again, not just about tech. These are lives. What we do impacts other people's lives. And we as a team, we're believers. We got to act like believers. We have to show some sign that we are believers. And so that's important to me. So just trying to manage all of that. My scope is that broad, and I'm really trying
Uh,
to bring it in as we go into 120 years, just so that the main things remain the main thing.
right. A lot of teamwork there. Did you develop and pick up some of those team skills in your previous work?
I did. As a matter of fact, when our pastor first started talking about, because we didn't have the system that we have, we didn't really get everything until 2014 is when our contracts, we started meeting, going to other churches and seeing things. So we didn't have all this. We had sound. We had an audio person, and usually those were volunteers. So right around 2014 is when we went with, hiring some people and just making sure that we had a whole coordinated effort for all media communications. It's been a challenge. I can't say it's always been easy. And I say a challenge because when you think about it, if you've had an audio system and people running it for years, right? And then you say, "Hey, we're starting something new and we want everybody under the same umbrella." You have people who say, "Well, wait a minute. I've been holding the umbrella up for myself, all this time." But if we work together, we're working for the kingdom, right? Have to remind everybody this is why we're working together, because we want to uplift Christ. We want to, shine the spotlight on Christ. And we're working for the kingdom. Come on. And so and then being a woman and being an African American woman in this particular space of tech is very unusual. So just trusting God in the relationship building, and that no matter what is happening, no matter what is said, I know who put me here, and I know that what I do is to glorify Him, and to just stay, keep my hand in His hand.
Yeah. So one of the areas that I think people miss out on is the announcements. They're not being sloppy. They just don't know what it takes. I was a board member of a Bible college for 14 years, worked with young people. And they would go out and be a youth pastor somewhere. And they get this great idea of an event and they ask for the money and we're going to get a bunch of young people. We're going to do a great thing. They do the event and very few or nobody shows up. And then they throw up their arms going, well, if I do all this work and nobody appreciates it, I'm not going to do it again. Right. And there just wasn't any quality in the announcement. Right. What are some key points when making an announcement to really get it across, to win over the people, and to incrementally improve that participation?
I believe that having the mindset of it's not about me or my writing, it's about the people who are going to listen. So, of course, who is your audience, right? What's their setting? And keeping things pithy, of short sentences, asking questions in the script, not just we're having a bake sale, please come and support us. But do you ever think about, when you're sitting in church, have you ever thought, has your stomach ever started rumbling a little bit, or have you ever thought about what God is calling you to do? Why not come to, or just being conversational, and engaging. I think that we have, of course, music wherever we can add some kind of other sound, whether it's another person, delivering the message. As when we start announcing events, like we're announcing some things now that are happening in February or late January. So we know that over the course of these weeks, we're going to change that announcement in some way so that, again, it doesn't get boring, it doesn't get tiring. We use a different talent every week. So sometimes, even if the language is the same, the fact that it's a different talent might tweak somebody else's ears. So I think just and making sure that your talent knows any tricks of the trade. I go to YouTube a lot and find some of the tricks of being a good voiceover talent. And I can remember the day. And that's the beauty of this where we are now, because I can remember when we didn't have screens. I can remember when we didn't have lights. I can remember when we didn't record. Right now we record on our phones. So I usually send, once somebody expresses interest in being one of the voiceover talent, I have a process that I take them through. But when we started this, I actually had a class. And we met maybe 3 or 4 times. Anybody of any age who was interested, we went through lots of exercises together. We put them on the microphone. We put them in headset. At the time, we didn't even know what the schedule was going to be for writing these announcements, because at that time, announcements were done from the pulpit on Sunday by the pastor or someone else. So we've had to develop all of this as the years have gone by. But we used to have a microphone that we attached to a stand. It wasn't a microphone, it wasn't a regular microphone. It was some little circular microphone that we attached it to a stand, and we jimmy rigged something that had a stocking over it. And we had a foam backing in this particular space, and we would ask the person to, stand there and hold your paper up high. We did the script on paper, and this is just 10 years ago for us, right?
Yeah.
And our congregation is, at the time, probably had about, maybe 8 to 100, well, 8 to 1,000 people. Okay, back then. So, and then we moved to, okay, well, let's do this in PowerPoint, and then we moved to, now that when COVID hit, we use voice memo on the cell phones, which is already there, and then we can edit in the voiceover mode in the voice memo application. We've learned to use iMovie. We use, of course, ProPresenter on Sunday mornings. We've learned so much. We used Canva. We use Post on My Wall. We've engaged technology. So where we didn't have a lot of people, our pastor has always been open to giving us what we said we needed. And we're never this. Thank God, this group has never been one for I want this, so I think this would be best. We've learned that, we'll try to make it work before we actually go and buy something that is state of the art or whatever. Sometimes I just have to tell the guys. We've been blessed with gentlemen who are audio engineers for talent or national talent that has, CDs and things out. We have persons who work in government in the government with the highest level of officials in video production. So we've got a lot of people who have a lot of skills and they want to make it work. And I give them a timeline. I'm like, okay, we'll try it up until this point. But at this point we're moving because pastor has a vision and we want to be ready for the vision. We can't take weeks to, figure out that, oh, we
Mhm.
can mount this way. No, if there's a solution that we already know about and it's going to cost a little money, let's go for that. But I'll give it an opportunity. I give them an opportunity, and it's been fun. It's been fun to work together, to grow together. Our team matters to us, and I think that those moments where we're able to pray together. We've been through marriages and deaths and childbirths and whatever is going on. We've been there for one another. This core group of us, and I think I can see where God is, it just having a heart for Christ makes the difference, particularly when we have to go the extra mile, like I know we're getting ready to have to do in preparation for this 120th anniversary. We just decided a couple weeks ago, we weren't going to do a gift exchange for the holidays. Have a project. Another ministry leads holiday sharing where they purchase gifts for children in need. And so the team decided that wanted to, instead of buying for each other, to buy for the kids. And we were going to donate. And to my surprise, we were able to donate 21 gifts that's a heart that says, Lord, you've blessed me and I want to bless someone else. So I'm just grateful to see the growth that we see. And for the few young people that are joining us, we don't have as many young people as I'd like to see. Right now we have a 13-year-old female. She
Mm.
helps with ProPresenter, and she also creates our birthday graphics. We celebrate persons who are 85 years young and up as a church. So on third Sundays, we'll in our announcement promo, there'll be their picture and their name and what birthday this is. So she creates those graphics. She also runs, lyrics and graphics through the service. We have a couple of 20 somethings that assist with audio and some with video. So we're growing, and our pastor just approved us to purchase a couple of devices to engage our high schoolers in shooting video, because we're doing shorts. And so we have
Mhm.
some 20 and 30 year olds who don't live in this area but still want to engage with us in technology. So they're doing some things, creating shorts and things on YouTube, but in house, being able to bring in the high schoolers, teach them how to use these devices, or yet learn from them how to use some of these devices,
Mhm.
right? Because they know it all. But,
Yeah.
and then watch and learn as they take it forth onto a more social media than we already have. It's really going to be a blessing. I'm excited. I am so grateful for the persons really upon whose shoulders we stand, because there were older persons who may have plugged in their own little video camera over the years and would just have VHS tapes, of this is, what happened at church today. But with streaming, we were in the process of talking about streaming. Meanwhile, one of the little old ladies in our church took her phone on a tripod and set it up in the aisle, right? And we had to say, "Can you move your tripod into the into the pew so no one falls?" But it was her. She streamed our service from her phone when we still had not gotten all of our equipment in place. And that was a blessing. And I remember asking her, "Will you please come and join us? I mean, you've got the interest in the talent. We'll all be together. We'll surround you. We'll learn from one another." And just persons who they did what they could with what they had, um, to make sure that other people knew of their love for their church and for their love of the Lord. And it makes a difference when we all let our little light shine.
So how has God used PhoneLive.io in helping you stream to the people who need accessibility at your church.
It's been a joy to work with phone live streaming because when we were considering coming back from COVID, we wanted to make sure that we engaged all of our congregation because everybody, of course, is not, the younger generation that will go online, right? Some people would only use the telephone or yeah, and just being able to have the system to call them. And we have several members that are in, nursing facilities. And so when our deacons go out to see them, and even when we as pastoral staff go out to see them, I'm able to say, "Are you getting the service? Are listen, let me set it up so that the service will call you every Sunday." My mother herself was in a nursing facility, and I could set it up on her phone that she all she had to do was just answer the phone and just put it down. And one of our members told me recently that when he has the phone live streaming on and the nurses are coming in and out, they join in worship as well with him because it's on his speakerphone. So it's been a blessing.
So, what's that passion that drives you to get up in the morning and go to work?
I love working honestly for the Lord. I'm so grateful for where I am. And I was a member of this church. I joined this church in 1993. I didn't start working here until 2011. So these are people I've known. Our children were raised together. At this church, I was married and children baptized. So the passion is I'm just so grateful. I see God move. I see his hand. And then when you serve with people who love to serve, it's just a joy. It's a joy. It's a joy. And when I watch your other podcasts or shows, interviews, I see the passion. You can see it when they spark, that you're giving an interview and it sparks that being able to, it's amazing to be able to do what you love to do and then to do it for the Lord. It's just a sweet space.
Yeah. And there's the benefits that God brings along the way because you put him first. My son at age 12 built our first streaming system in the days before Facebook Live.
Wow.
And he had a Google map attached to it so we could watch who's watching.
Okay.
Right. And we got an unresolved IP and wouldn't show up on Google Maps. And he traced it
Uh-huh.
to the International Space Station.
Did he really? My goodness. This is exciting. We hear the other thing that makes it a joy is that we're getting more young people now joining our church, and when we say, "Well, how did you hear about us?" They say the internet. And so again, working with that team, knowing that our worship service is going places that beyond these 4 walls is really it's like fruit. It's just being really wonderful to see that it does pay off.
Yeah. So to the person with cold feet, they feel the calling. They're debating should they be involved or not. Got a word of encouragement for them?
Trust God. Pray about it and trust God because you have the gifts just as you are um, to be of service. It's a great place for community working in media. Because think about it, creative people with creative people. And a lot of what we do has transpired into, job skills. I know of people who worked in media and gone on to get jobs in media outside of church. Trust God and be honest. Be honest with what you really can and can't do. Some of the jobs, some of the roles that we play. I did a thing for our pastor. Our pastor gives our media ministry gifts every year because of the amount of sacrifice, gas is spent just think about the number of recordings that we do and what people give. And so he gives back to us in some form of fashion at the end of the year. And did a report for him. And I think I told him that after I asked everybody, what do you do? Add up your hours, what you do during the week and let me know. And I want to say we spend I wish I could remember the actual number. It was in the hundreds of hours a week in preparation for a Sunday morning. So if you can only do 2 hours a week, there's a role for you. If you don't know how to do graphics, but you like to read, we need proofreaders. If you don't have time for either of those and you can only come to church on Sunday, are you the person who can walk through the church before church even starts or before people even arrive to make sure that there are no coffee cups or coffee stains on in the narthex, which is our entryway? Make sure that everything looks good. Make sure that the bulletin boards have accurate information on them. Make sure but there's something for everybody, and little hands make light work. I think that's an African proverb. Little hands, I mean, many hands make light, many hands make light work, and that's true. So there's something for you to do. Do what you can where you are with what you have, with a heart for God, and it will all work out.
And if they don't get an Emmy, they're going to get a bigger reward in heaven.
Hey, that's That's what we're all striving for.
Right?
We wanna hear, "Well done, my good and faithful servant." Exactly.
Well, wow. It's been so wonderful today. Appreciate your time and speaking into our lives and being a big help. If folks wanted to reach out and connect with you, is there a way they can reach you?
Sure, they can reach me at KAM 4000. Oh, this is long, at fbcnbmd.net, or they can go to our website, fbcnblife.org, and they can find out, look for the staff, and you can connect with me there. And that's the best way, really.
Thank you for listening to today's podcast. We appreciate you leaving a review, liking, and sharing this podcast wherever you have joined us. I'm looking forward to next week here on Church Tech's Careers as we navigate the back office of ministry and how we can have an impact on our community and uplift the members of our local church. And today's video is brought to you by PhoneLive.io.